least it was charcoal.
Yeah, that sounds like they went a little overboard with their barbecue.
Look who wants it. No, you can't have it, sweetheart. This is mine.
Yeah, the place that we go to, they do a really good seared salmon where they sear it with a torch, and then the other one that I always have to get because it's freaking delicious is the spider roll, which is soft shelled crab. So good.
Yeah, these people have the crab option, but I didn't go that way. I just did my normal salmon and crab. I should have gone with a snob.
Yeah, my wife always goes nuts with me because whenever I go to sushi, I'm like, I'll grab it all. I will eat everything. I even like the salmon roe. I mean,
I do too.
Yeah, I eat it all. I don't care for the edamame, but she loves them.
We go fishing.
Right, I know, right? Yeah. Looks a lot like Great Balls of Fire.
Oh, little soy sauce. And they even got ginger and wasabi.
Yeah, a little soy sauce and wasabi. Yeah. All about it.
Oh. Well, I've been watching video on how to make whiskey.
Oh yeah. Hello.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Doing all right.
That's good to
Good
hear.
morning.
Wow. Yeah, I hear you. I went to our family reunion, and both my wife and I think we caught a bug from some of the kids because we are feeling like shit. Like, so I started getting sick about Tuesday night, and just, nothing terrible. It's pretty okay until I get up and move.
I didn't wire you money this week because I did last week.
Yep.
Figured I'd let it ride. Okay, no worries.
You are good. You are good.
Oh, thanks for fucking reminding me. Hold on, I'm on it right now.
All right.
No worries. Yeah, no, I should have said something earlier.
Nope, you're good.
How are you recovering, Wes?
What is that?
How are you recovering from your accident?
Oh, I'm doing okay. I've been going to work and stuff. It's just a little bit slower healing than what it was 30 years ago.
Yeah, that is the truth.
Yeah. I've caught old age. It's terrible.
It is communicable.
They come up with a fucking vaccine for COVID fucking in a couple of months, but fucking for old age, not shit.
Right.
Not shit. All these fucking years and not a damn thing. So that is terrible.
Yeah, instead they just keep making us live longer and get older.
I know, man. It's like, yeah, man, you're going to live to be 150, but you're going to feel it.
Right.
Yeah, you're going to feel every day after 30.
It's all it's oxidation.
My buddy and I, when we were in our mid to late 20s, we used to he had a couple of Yamaha wave runners, and we'd go out and we'd sit on the beach and we'd be like, you know what? About the age of 64 and a half, I say we just take the wave runners and run them into the side of a barge and just end it. Because that whole getting old shit, that sucks. Yeah, I hear you.
Man, wave runners though, man, beat the shit out of you, man.
Oh, dude, that's how I tore my rotator cuff. Is I didn't even do anything fancy. I was just trying to get from point A to point B in very, very choppy water, and yeah, tore my rotator cuff. I'm surprised I don't need new kidneys from that ride.
Those son of bitches that ride those fucking on fucking 100-foot waves and shit,
Yeah.
man, they pull the surfers out there, man, and then they gun it, and then when the motherfucker bails, they're like, "Oh man, we got to go get him."
Yeah,
That's fucking some crazy shit.
yeah.
There,
The tallest wake that I have ever launched a wave runner off was a 6-foot wake, and that was scary as shit. I did not know how tall that wake. I mean, I knew it was a big one, but I was a little overzealous, and I had given it a little bit too much throttle, and man, I caught some serious air. And I was like, you know what? I'm not doing that again. That was enough of that.
yeah. HBO has a special called 100-Foot Wave.
Ugh.
Yeah. And you know, they're going all over the place. They're trying to catch these epic waves. You know, they're professional surfers and shit, but they all have guys that are out there towing them too.
Yep.
And it's just kind of interesting. You know, my woman, she loves to watch that shit. I find it kind of, yeah.
Well, we used to catch it every once in a while, like the surf championships there off of Kauai, and you'd see these guys out. And it's funny because one of the wave runners was what they were using at the time. He had a what was that? A GPX. It was had way more. It had as much horsepower as my car at the time, in just a little wave runner. And man, the thing was scary as it was, and then you get out there and like these huge 50 to 100-foot waves, and I'm like, that's insane. That is insanity.
Man, you know, I've got a smart ass mouth, so like I'm always on the danger zone anyway, because I'll say some fucked up things to the wrong people, and I'll be like, well, what the fuck did I say that for? You know, and I'm like, here he goes, this dude's gonna fucking cave my head in.
Well,
but, you know,
it's worse when you don't realize what you said, and then you're like, well, what's his fucking problem?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Jeez.
No, just sometimes, man, something will just come out of my mouth, man, and immediately, like, the other side of my brain is like, what the fuck did you say that for? What the fuck? You know?
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, the devious side of, you know, is just kind of like, yeah, hell yeah, I said that shit. So.
It's a constant internal struggle.
Oh, yeah.
Welcome to Deep Night Revelation. We're back after, 2 weeks off? 3 weeks?
Something like that.
I think it was like 2 weeks off. We had some personal issues, adulting, and there was some illness. There was a car wreck in there. So yeah, we are back, and we will be picking up where we left off. These guys were popping in for a short cruise into the Garva 411 system, which is, I believe it's a neutron star. Yes, it is a neutron star.
I like this map.
I mean,
you got this. I like that.
Yeah, there's going to be more like this coming.
That's
yeah. So I've done a lot of Ford reading and prep work, and so I've got a solid direction that we're going here. I know what's going on. So there's a lot more of these, and one of the things that had concerned me about Deep Night Revelation was when you look at Traveler Map, they have dots, they have asterisks that show where there are systems, but none of it is filled in. And I was like, holy shit, this is going to be so much work. Well, the fact of the matter is, you don't have to do any of that. There's a lot of stuff in Deep Night Revelation that, I mean, you could make it as complicated as you want. And you could follow a lot of their rules or their optional rules to the letter. In my opinion, that is going to make for a lot of work, and it's not just for the referee. It is going to be a lot of work for the players. It's going to generate tons of paperwork. That I mean, if we wanted to do paperwork, we would spend extra hours at work, and so. I have decided to just kind of gloss over most of that and just forego it. But Yeah, in reading ahead, there's a lot more of these type of maps, and it ends up being a lot more loosey goosey and free flow than what I was worried that it was going to be, and so I highly recommend the campaign, though. I mean, there is some really good stuff coming down the line that is. I'm kind of excited to see how you guys deal with some of it. But before we get started, we would like to thank a friend of the Greenwater Guildhall. None of these are sponsorships or partnerships of any kind. They're just products that we really like. Tonight, we would like to thank the Speechless Bard. She makes, excuse me, that whatever this bug is chopping up my voice. Speechless Bard makes beautiful leather products for your tabletop role-playing games, such as covers for your core rulebooks. She's got this really cool dice rolling mat that when you roll it up, it looks like a spell scroll. She has a item called the Spell Compendium that's like a bifurcated box. It looks like a spell book, but it's a bifurcated box. One side can hold cards, the other side you can use to roll dice. And on the inside cover is a magnetic spell slot tracker. She just does really cool stuff, and she does all of the customization by hand. She goes to to purchase the leather in person, so that she doesn't order in bulk. She picks out the leather swaths herself. She does all of the paint work and stitch work by hand. She's an amazingly talented artist. If you're going to order from her, and this is especially true if it's a gift, but even for yourself, make sure you give yourself a little bit of extra time. She is over in the UK, so it can take a little while for it to cross the pond. I don't have any particulars on turnaround time or whatnot, but keep in mind that these are all hand done, and so I'm sure that must add something to the time frame. So give yourself a little bit of leeway there. If you are a fan of the channel, we do have a Zazzle page that we have merchandise for. And we've got t-shirts, including the pirate flag from our Wednesday night Pirates of Droinex campaign. We've got a fleece blanket that has the map of the Glostian Empire from Braunhaven on it. It comes in 3 sizes. There's beer stein. There are buttons. So yeah, if you want to help support the channel, 100% of the proceeds from that store go directly back into the channel. Go get yourself a new t-shirt or buy some buttons, or hell, get a blanket. We appreciate everything that you purchase. Completed my Braunhaven book. So not only did I complete it, it got sent to the printers, they accepted it, and now the proof is on its way, so the Lost Mines of Drothamstone will be up for sale very soon. It's technically up for sale now on Big Geek Emporium, but the page is all screwed up, and I've emailed Big Geek Emporium 3 times in the last week, and they have not gotten back to me. And yeah, so that makes me happy. You know, and I hate to say it, but this is exactly the reason. You know, there's all these people on Twitter and Facebook. Oh, well, we need to get an alternative to Drive-Thru RPG. Well, this is exactly why Big Geek Emporium will never be an alternative to Drive-Thru RPG, because they can't get their shit together. So I'm just going to throw that out there, and it is completely true. And honestly, their site's so bad, I don't care if they pull my products. I mean, their site is just a fucking car wreck. But, you know, hopefully they can get it together. But whatever. So, in the meantime, keep an eye out. Drive-Thru RPG will have it very soon. It'll be available in PDF and print on demand. It is coming. As soon as I get that proof in my hand and I can approve it, we're good to go. So, where we left off, you guys had jumped into the Garva 411 system. There's really not a lot here. And actually,
It's a space dragon.
Actually,
Oh, Jesus. I need you to make some cellulose for me.
make some what?
Cellulose.
Mm.
Wood. the main component of wood.
So this is the scan of the Garva system, where one is. So this neutron star went kablooey sometime in the past. It of course swelled, and then it actually did do a supernova. And so the one is where the inner system used to be, and you'll notice that it is completely blank because there ain't shit there anymore. What is kind of left joined in with 2, which was the inner belt. And then, of course, 3, we have an eccentric terrestrial that is kind of in an odd orbit. 4 is a small gas giant, and 5 is a rogue. And it is believed that this rogue was probably a gas giant moon that got thrown out. It is in the process of actually leaving the system. The only one that is habitable is, excuse me, not habitable, but or maybe it is. Let me see. Well, here is the scan. Yeah, I wouldn't say that this is habitable. This is the scan of 411.3. And so yeah, it's 81C during the day, negative 51C at night. It's a
It has no atmosphere, so it's just a naked rock.
Yep. But hey, man, it's got a law level of 0. So yeah, this is really the only terrestrial that's really worth looking at, and obviously 5 is this rogue moon. It's just a rock ball too. So, although oddly enough, it is a little bit bigger than 3, but it also has no atmosphere, and like I said, in a couple thousand years, it's going to get tossed out of the system entirely, and will just be a free-floating rogue. Aside from that,
there's no radio waves, communication traffic, other ships.
No. There is the only thing that is coming in on the radio. So, and actually have, now that you're closer, you can actually. This is Garva 411. And of course, you can see in this middle section, this is where the inner systems really were. The only thing that is coming in on your communications, and it's of course coming in on all bands, is you're getting these weird, strange sounds that are made by radiation and large stellar objects, and so it's coming in across all frequencies on all bands. And I don't know if you've ever heard like some of the stellar sounds of like what Jupiter or Saturn sounds like. It's very similar to that. Just these weird whale sounds kind of things, just kind of undulating all over the place. And so surrounding this system, of course, these are the rogues and the terrestrial. Actually, this is probably the gas giant, and then this is your rogue and the terrestrial. The whole system is pretty much next to useless. But who wants to monitor the who wants to do an engineering check to make sure that this is a shakedown cruise, so somebody's going to need to do a diagnostic and make sure that that's running well. It would be a well, you could do an engineering like at 0 to kind of cover everything. Engineering plus intellect or education.
At 0?
Well, yeah, I mean, if you want to make individual rolls for each system, I'll allow you.
He's saying it's basically not one of the 4 specialty systems. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, you could do power, you could do J drive.
+2 in every one of them.
Oh, well, then just do a +2 then. So yeah, add your +2 and then plus your intellect or education.
7.
Well, I mean, diagnostic is a routine check, so
I'm
which is
rather
only
specialized.
yeah, which is only 6+. No, it aside from a few minor tweaks here and there, pretty much the overhaul took. They replaced some systems. There were some systems that when you left dock all the way back at the very beginning, when you first left Space Dock, even before you went to Tobiah, there were some systems that were put in that at that time were considered, I guess you could, I wouldn't say experimental, and I wouldn't say prototype, but they were new. And in the amount of time that it took you to get here, they kind of, you had noted some of the problems. I mean, Randolph had changed or had altered some of the things because of issues. Those have now been hammered out. And so at this point, it's just adjustment, atmosphere adjustment, power adjustment. Aside from that, everything looks like it's rolling pretty solid. And so, is there anything in that you want to investigate in the Garva 411 system? Like, you're a scientist. I mean, so the ship's going to be here for about 3 days at this gas giant, doing refueling operations. But aside from that, there's really not a whole lot for you guys to do here. Your science teams are, of course, excited to be taking a look at literally an up-close view of a
the lady
neutron star.
astronomer is having an orgasm.
Yeah, they're having viewing parties.
Go ahead, Will.
I was just gonna say, let's just take a poll of them and ask, like, is there anything anybody would specifically like to do while we're here in terms of, is there anything that you can't do from the ship that?
I want to take a flyby of at least 5 and number 3, and then maybe do some of number 2 as best we can as we go around. I just want to see if these drone. If we can find a sign of them have come through here, some of their monuments, something like that. These are not, those are necessarily things that we've found as we've come by. We have some of the idea of the type of, the elements they use and what they build shit with and all that. So, I mean, personally, I would like to at least do a quickie on 5 and 3 at the very least, because the moon is flying out, but that just because it's being released and flying out, it's still a valid body. If there's a monument or some wreckage or something to investigate there, we get that while the getting's good.
So somebody can go ahead and make a electronic sensors plus intellect or education check.
Sure.
That's SARTA.
And somebody can make a. Does anybody have like science geology or science astrology? Or not astrology, science astrology. Yes, I'm a Gemini. What is my horoscope? No, like science astronomy.
No, I have chemical 1, so I guess I have 0 in everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got 0 in all the sciences at the very least.
You can both make them.
They're specialized, aren't they?
Well, yes and no. I mean, if you've got the specialties, because each of those are specialties, you can make it at 0 if you don't have geology or astronomy.
Yeah, I know the companion offered a way of bundling them.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, bundling sciences, bundling art, and bundling professions, where like you pick, if you pick any of these, you basically get the others in this bundle at 0.
Well, I mean, that's essentially how all of the skills work. So, I mean, if you have, for instance, drive wheeled at 2, you have drive tracked at 0.
But it's not true for those 3 skills. Those 3 skills are considered specialties. So it's profession, sciences, and art. And so the companion offered an option where they basically grouped subcategories of those, so that if you picked one of those skills to train in, you were 0 at these others that were related to it.
Huh. So I have not run into that. The description of science just shows. I mean, it shows specialties, yes, but it doesn't show that it can't be.
Well, the specialties just means that you don't have a 0 in the other art. If you take art holography, you only have art holography. You don't know idea.
But there's nothing that says that, though. I mean, it works just from what I'm seeing. It works just like all of the other skills.
No, that's
yes.
I'll pull up the core rule book and I'll show you where.
Yeah, I'm in the core rule book right now.
Anyway.
So it says some skills have specialized, more focused forms of that skill. A traveler picks a specialty when they gain level 1 in that skill that has 2 or more specialties. It works. I'm not seeing anything that says it's different.
Must be some place for talks just about specialties.
I've got a whole bunch of sciences. You're
the galaxy's best doctor.
Well, I've got planetology.
That works. Go ahead and roll that.
Okay, well, I'm going to use my awareness to inspire myself, if I can.
Sure.
It's a psionic thing, you know. I just kind of stoke myself up. So I need to roll an 8 or above.
So the profession skill works like that, but science does not say the same thing.
All right, so that should give me a +2 on my DM. I'd beat an 8, so I'll get my 1 for my planetology and a 2 for my psionic buff, and then what? I get 1 for my education.
Correct.
Or
your intellect, whichever.
How about a 15?
Yeah. And then what did Sarda get on the sensors check?
I got a 16.
Oh, okay.
That's fucking A-team shit right here, man.
Yeah, and what did what did Randolph get?
Randolph didn't do anything. What am I supposed to roll?
Well, I mean, if you want to roll a sciences check, you can. I mean, I think that Bocephus and Sarda probably have it handled. I would also assume that you're probably tinkering with engineering diagnosis. So, essentially,
I'm actually tinkering with the chemists because I'm having them do an analysis. I'm helping them do an analysis on the glop I made from the fruit.
That's right. Yes.
2 times ago. So I'm starting to work on making our own cognac.
Yeah. Okay. So you do
For the other guys, we picked up 10 tons of fruits.
Right.
I could start doing making our own whiskey and cognac and maybe scotch.
Yeah, and you pick some berries and stuff too, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, you are you finished your diagnostic, turned a torque wrench a couple of times and said, "Okay, I'm going to the still."
So I went to the machinist with an emergency still and said, "Make me one of these, but 5 times bigger."
Yes. Hey, there's plenty of workshops. So Sarda runs his scan, and while he's running the scan, of course, Bocephus is going over the data that comes in. And unfortunately, the initial scans of this system of how incredibly boring it is. It's not a neutron star is anything but boring. But there are a couple of things that pop out. So you do discover the inner system was swept clean of all planets during the star's giant phase. And then outside of this zone here in the middle, this was just considered utter destruction. There was no hope for anything in there. There is this sparse planetoid belt that it probably wasn't as thick as it is now. Whatever blew off, whatever wasn't incinerated, was blown off, and it would have probably gained a new home in this belt. Beyond this gas giant is really rather unremarkable. It is a very small gas giant. It may have been your sensor scans detect that it may have been larger at one time, but as the star expanded, it may have actually siphoned some of that off from this gas giant, and so it may have shrunk it a little bit. In addition to that, number 3, this is the only really viable terrestrial planet in the system. And it seems that this may have been a former moon, and it's now at a very steep eccentric orbit around this around Garva 411. And so at times it will, like up here, and yeah, mostly up here, it will get really hot, and then as it sweeps back out to here, and especially here and over here, it's just extremely cold. But its day-night cycle is extremes too. Like I said, during the day, the average temperature is around 81 degrees Celsius, whereas at night it's at like negative 52. So yeah, it is a planet of extremes. Absolutely no life. Your probes don't find anything to do. There's no signs of any kind of civilization. There's no structures, nothing. It is just a barren rock. Then, of course, this one used to be a moon. It may have been a moon of this gas giant, actually. And it kind of got kicked out, and it is on an extreme eccentric orbit that's just going to toss it completely out. Now, one of the things that you do discover about this, and this is like a close-up view. Usually when you guys, in the past, when you've been jumping from system to system, usually things like neutron stars or black holes, those are things that you avoid. That usually, if in your past, usually if you got close to a neutron star or a black hole, somebody screwed the pooch on astrogation, and there was a misjump. You found there's nothing profitable in your past careers. There's nothing profitable about getting close to these things. So the one thing that you do read is that the normal jump limit for a safe jump is 100 diameters. Well, in this inner system, and you got to figure from this belt to the star, that's quite a ways. This map just simply doesn't show you how far that is. But in Garva 411, especially in this inner ring system, the safe jump limit is actually 2 AU.
Wow.
So, and I mean, nothing that your sensors are spitting back at you is showing any reason that you would go into the inner system. I mean, where number 1 is, this whole thing is a bunch of gravimetric shear, and it looks, not that you couldn't fly through it, but there's just no reason to. Aside from that, there is really nothing here that is of any big interest. And the flight deck is already, or the flight crew on the bridge are already, they've already put in coordinates to jump back to Demnan and basically report the all clear to what was the ship's name? The ship's name was the Veriker, which is the naval support vessel that had done an overhaul.
Nothing in that debris field, because we're looking for higher tech possible remnants that might survive such a blast.
No, nothing.
No,
absolutely nothing. In fact, so you are seeing, and I don't know if I have a better map of this. I do not. No. You could tell that, when this, it's hard to say how long ago this happened. But when this thing went supernova, it would have affected worlds up to 6 parsecs away. But for instance, Demnan would have been pretty much boned by this thing going supernova. But I thought I had, maybe I don't. It looks like this happened long enough ago that Demnan, maybe it wasn't completely sterilized, but there would have been some form of mass extinction event. And when you guys came to Break Room in Demnan, where you've spent the last several weeks, I think it was, 6 weeks that you were, or 5 weeks that the ship was under overhaul. It looks like, from what you could see, that planet was actually on the verge of, it was in the process of coming back, like just like the Earth did. The Earth went through 3 mass extinctions, and they came back each time. So Break Room is on the process of coming back again. But beyond that, it's actually the most that you get out of those sensor scans is that, if anything, the universe is under constant change. It is basically a death and rebirth kind of system, which is a little, I don't know, depressing. It's very dark and lonely out in the cold. So when you get back, another week goes by, and so Randolph, in this week that you're jumping back to Demnan, so you were doing 2 things. You were experimenting with the glop, right?
Yep.
And then you were experimenting with your still.
Yep.
Go ahead. Well, go ahead and make a chemistry plus. Let's see, what was it? It was chemistry plus your intellect or education, your choice, and I believe you had a +2 coming to that.
Well.
Okay, so yeah, with the 12, you have come up with a very good. I'm gonna have to look that up later. Thank you. Well, I will check that out.
No worries.
I'm in the Traveler Companion Update 2024, so.
And I haven't looked at the updated one yet.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same information, but some of the pages are different because they added a whole bunch of stuff. So, well, not a whole bunch of stuff, but they added like vector combat for space battles, and
they're gonna make it extra 3D.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. I've done this before, and I'm like, I will never do that again. It doesn't need to be that complicated. So you are able to come up with a really good mix for this. I guess it is going to be like a berry wine that you're then aging into brandy.
Yeah, and then distilling.
Yeah, and then
redistilling.
Yeah, redistilling it. So, that is a solid. But I mean, I mean, obviously, you're gonna have to age it for a while.
I've actually just got done watching a video on how to shorten the aging process.
Yeah, there are ways to accelerate the aging process. And this is just
small batches.
You got to do it in small batches. You're right. In my opinion, the original way is still the best. It's just you're going to have to wait those 6 years. I mean, that's.
Well, I don't think the chief bosun's mate's mess is going to wait very long.
Probably not. I mean, your brandy might be very, very fresh.
You definitely don't need to age it. Definitely don't need to age it for 6 years.
No, not. Well, I mean,
I read a video
depends on the quality that you want.
So my brother's the brandy maker for O'Neill Vintners. They're the biggest brandy maker in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's 2 years will do, for a lot of stuff.
Oh yeah. So for the glop, do you have Steward?
I do.
If somebody wants to make or I think this is Randolph doing it. You don't have Steward?
No.
If you want to make if you want to, you could almost make a profession like chef or something like that.
Enology.
Yeah. Yeah, if somebody wants to make a Steward plus intellect or education, they can.
I don't know who you're bringing it. If you're bringing anybody in on this at all or not.
I'm not your Steward guy. My bedside manner though is known to be wonderful. Yeah. Well, I don't know if I would use such harsh verbiage.
You really do this well.
Yeah, if you want to bring in Sarda's got Steward.
Sarda, please, would you like to check this?
Sure. Make sure it's not going to be poison.
Yeah.
Well, I did a qual and put a sample in the qual and quant chemical analysis unit, and it spit out what compounds are in it and what organics. So
if I could use education, it would be one higher. I don't know if education is viable. Okay, so if it's education, it's an 8.
Yeah, so with an 8, I mean, so survival stills, it really doesn't matter, what kind of organic matter you throw into it. It's going to pump out a nutrient paste that is edible and it will provide all of the necessary requirements for somebody to sustain themselves and live. Now, some would argue that it does not provide all of the necessary requirements for somebody to live, such as any sense of joy or flavor or whatnot. And so glop is generally it's generally viewed as with disdain, and your morale for a for a large group will plummet if that's what they're eating, for weeks on end. Actually, probably more than about 5 or 6 days on end. Your morale's going to tank. This glop, you run it through the processor. It tastes pretty much like glop. I mean, it might have a little bit of a better flavor, but you'll need to do some more experimentation before this really can become a suitable long-term kind of food. But once you have that figured out, and you can program it into the still, assuming that you can get biological material to put in, you could potentially come up with something that tastes a little bit less like cream of wheat and a little bit more like strawberry flavored instant
cream of wheat.
Cream of wheat, right? Yeah. So yeah, I mean, there are possibilities here, but
might want to start working on maybe having some folks cultivate berries or something like that could be used as a base.
Well, and that's a really good idea, because I mean, part of when you were in, this is the Demnan system, when you were in Demnan, so there you did find a number of grasses, wheats. You found a suitable replacement for hops, and with those, of course, part of that is that you were able to cultivate some seeds, and there are plenty of biospaces available on RSS Deepnight Revelation where you could start to grow small crops of these things. I guess maybe crop is maybe a bit of an overstatement, but there are some small garden areas where you could grow some of this stuff to potentially enhance the flavor of glop.
Can I make a couple rolls on my downtime projects? What I'm wanting to do is clone Sarda and experiment with making enhanced combat organs to transplant into him in a future time.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah, go ahead and make a.
I mean, I've got the clone bat.
Right,
you've got opposed to the idea.
You don't like the idea of enhanced organs?
Hey man, when you need a new pancreas, you're gonna love this idea.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna do everybody. I want to have some good organs to replace your innards with as we go along. Your survival is vital to this.
I'm afraid of my clone being used to kill me later.
Oh no, I'll cut its arms and legs off.
You know, that's the one thing I will say about the beginning part of this campaign is that I have instilled enough paranoia into you to last all the way to the end. I could be as nice as Santa Claus for the rest of this campaign. You're all going to be paranoid.
This clone is not even going to be educated in nothing, man. I'm going to make it. I'm going to cut out its regular organs, and I'm going to try these. I'm going to try to splice some DNA and get a custom set of combat. Just so you can stay awake longer. You can process foods better. You can take bullets better. Such as
I don't want to take bullets.
Yes, well, it's not high on my list of things I want to do, but so do you have?
Can you prove his fungus resistance?
So, Bocephus, do you have science genetics?
I have not. I have cybernetics, psychology, planetology, psychology, chemistry, biology, and of course, Medic 4.
Go ahead and make a science at 0 plus your intellect or education.
Okay, and can I use my psionic ability to give me an inspirational boost?
Yeah, if you make your psionic roll.
Well, that's what I'm hoping for. Now, I've got to drop this to a 3 because, I'll get it back if I just wait a few hours. So
this will be... Where is my...
All right, so I get a +2 to the roll, so this will be at a +3.
Okay. So this is going to be a difficult 10 plus. Ooh.
Ooh.
Go ahead and make a medic plus education at a -1.
I'm not raising it.
So you fail in that you do not create a clone of Sarda, but you are able to use the clone vat to basically you have succeeded in cloning part of a Sarda. You have been able to clone one of the easier things to clone, and mostly because it has its own cloning features built in, the liver.
Well, that's a start. I will.
So you can call Sarda and say, "Hey, man, you can start drinking some of Randolph's brandy like right now, and I got you covered."
Well, I mean, it's a start.
I haven't taken a sample to the biology team yet.
Actually, though, I mean, I could do a lot to this liver to beef it up with some proper modifications. If he ever needs a liver, I should have one ready. You never know. I mean, he could get shot in the liver.
That's true.
Yeah.
Sure. My liver.
Yeah. Well, you know.
So
butthead, right?
I'm not really telling Sarda I'm doing all this, so I'm not. You know, I'll present it to him when I think I have findings.
When his liver goes.
Yeah. Well, it's a start. I'll keep working on making a Sarda 2.0.
He's gonna keep subtly poisoning me so that he can use the cloned liver at some point.
Yes. Yeah, I got to try it out.
Tell me, does this taste like heavy metals?
Is that a hint of arsenic I taste? That's delicious.
Look, man, now, Bo Stevens is a very ethical doctor. You guys know I wouldn't do anything against his will. I would ask. You know, I might ask it in like a riddle, but you know.
So when you guys get back into the Demnan system, the captain, Captain Belmont of the Deepnight Revelation, he gives the he calls his command crew from all divisions, and of course you guys come in, and he wants Randolph's opinion of the drives. Are we 5x5 ready to begin our exploration?
Seems so. Yes, sir. Right away, sir.
Okay.
Was any of this engineering stuff about the drives themselves? I'm sorry, I thought it was just general engineering.
Some of it. So some of it was because
drive check.
Yeah, I mean the maneuver drives. They are the deep space maneuver drives, and so those are kind of they were sketch, but they seem to be so far working quite a bit better. You noticed that while you were in Garva 411, because of the lack of suitable mass that's out there and how eccentric everything is, they seem to work pretty well. The jump drives never really had too much of a problem. Power conduits are seemingly to work better, and of course, to Randolph's specifications, the environmental controls are much better.
Right. I just say if anything comes up with regard to the jump drives, let me know. That's the one where I've got a 4 in it. I don't have anything in the other engineering systems, but
yeah. Here. Pull this up.
I'm a rather specialized engineer.
Yeah, go ahead and make a engineering J drive plus education or intellect, your choice.
$13.
Okay.
No. Yeah, 13.
So before the you guys have been pushing the drives. The standard drive jump, the comfortable jump, was J3. And you guys have been pushing it to J4. So drive's been running a little hot, but you guys were kind of in a hurry to get to Demnan because this task force has been sitting here for, damn near almost 9 months to a year, and so you know that they want. Yeah, well, no, but the kind of pushing hard to get here so that they can pack up their shit and go home, and so, but this new overhaul, you're noticing now that these are much more efficient. They are J4 now. The overall weight or volume of Deepnight Revelation, unlike a standard, what was this, a planet class? Anyways, it was one of the element class cruisers. It's standard. This ship's weight is at 59,400 tons. Currently, now with the overhaul, it has jump 4 rated for 75,000 tons. So
wow.
So it'll do jump 4 easily without overdoing the drives. It also has a 10% less fuel requirement.
Nice.
And so Captain Belmont gives the task force commander the go-ahead, and they are going to, of course, begin takedown of the temporary space dock that they had built, and they're going to break camp on Break Room and prepare to make their long voyage back to the Imperium, back towards Tobiah. Having said that, the captain brings up that you will be... This is the first reach. Now, I think we vaguely went over reaches. So a reach is basically the overall plan for a... pull up my master map here. So it's basically the overall plan of where you're going and what you're doing. And there we go. So, of course, you are here at Demnan, and this is just a rough overview. These are actually entire sectors. So you're in... Demnan is in Incognita Citerior, and the first reach A is going to take you all the way to the near side of Yonder, which some Weisenheimer in the Scout Service named this the near side of Yonder. These points in the point that you're trying to reach is a vague designation called NSYX, and NSYX is basically the whole point of this, and they're calling it the Rift's Edge Transit. And so they're hoping that at NSYX, and it is a nebulous location, it's not specific, but they're hoping that by the time that you guys reach here, there is the hope that there will be somewhere that you can cross the Great Rift. There will be something there will be at least enough systems in between that you could cross the Great Rift. The captain tells you, Belmont says there's not a lot of real hope for this, but this is going to be our first potential site to look. It is more than likely that we'll have to travel further rimward before we can cross, but this is, if we're lucky, there may be one there. Now, point one here is radio source Villicasi, and Villicasi, this entire sector was named for a Villani explorer, and at radio source Villicasi, that will be the first point where you will drop a buoy beacon. And then, of course, we will travel through number 2, which is the Henlix Nebula, and then we will drop another buoy marker at point 3, which is Point Granger. And these are the 3 point... Right, these are the 3 points. The last one will be dropped at NSYX. And so these beacons... The hope is that they will drop these somewhere. These things are going to send out a pulse beacon, a radio signal. Now, of course, a radio signal is not going to reach anybody of importance for a long time. But there is the plan that there will be other missions heading this way after you guys, possibly you'll meet them on the way back. But these beacons will be floating there containing all of the information that you have collected thus far, and that way whoever's coming back this way can pick up that data and use it or store it or whatever they're going to do with it. That way they're not going completely into the dark. And so that is the plan. Of course, Villicasi, Point Granger, and NSYX are where you will drop these beacons for this reach. Who wants to make a Sensors Plus Sensors plus education or intellect check.
See, that just proves again why he needs better organs, because he makes all these rolls for us.
I only got a 10.
Only, yeah. So the first stop, at your science guys are going to be extremely happy about this. The first stop where you will be, or the first major stop where you will be able to do some scientific exploration, is a proto system. Designated QQ784, and it is a T-Tauri, a Type T Tauri star, and it is essentially just forming, and pretty much everything in that system is just forming.
And if I'm on the big ship, the actual the Deep Night ship, making sensors checks, usually what I'm doing is asking someone on the sensors crew to also make that sensor check.
Sure.
And then I won't say anything if they do what I get, but if I find something that they missed, I will bring it up and explain what I did and how I found it. But because when I'm on our smaller ship, I figure I'm doing all the sensors checks, but I'm trying to help and encourage the sensors team to get better.
Yeah, so their sensor operator got an 11. You kind of went over what he got. He is correct, and so he basically looked out, and one of the things that Deep Night Revelation has is it can look. I think I want to say between 6 and 10 parsecs for long range. Scanning, and so it takes a little while, but what you're seeing is kind of exciting. So this system looks like there is a very, very slight gas giant in this system, and when I say slight, I mean like the atmosphere of this gas giant is thin enough that you can actually see the core. You're picking up readings of the core of this giant.
Okay. So it's maybe newly formed, or
yeah, like when I say that this is a proto system, it is quite new. It is in its birth throes, and it's showing that the star QQ784 is 1.3 stellar masses. So it's just a little bit bigger than Sol. Now according to what you're seeing is that, once it's done throwing its birthing temper tantrums, it might shrink down a little bit. But right now it's throwing off gas plumes, and there's all sorts of nebula and debris. Of course, before you guys jump, and I'm going to go ahead and just go ahead and make that roll right now for astrogation. Hey, look at that. Before you guys jump, you do have time, if you want to go back down to break room, say your goodbyes to anybody that you met on the planet. I mean, some of them might be awkward. You know how Bocephus is. He is a dolphin.
I mean, I'm fine with just leaving them. I'm not really worried about anything. Considering I kind of missed a lot of what happened around here anyway. I think I've just been in the lab for a part. I am making sure that I take a lot of time to handle the mental health on the ship.
Yes.
You know, I want to regularly talk to people and make sure that, they have just enough calm and relax, and I don't want anybody going fucking Event Horizon on us.
That's a really good question. Or that's a really good statement. So in your you're trying to so are you doing this clinically, or are you trying to take the temperature of how the crew's feeling by going around carousing with them?
No, I'm going to do it with my psychology. I'm kind of the self-appointed ship's counselor, and so I'm just going to roll with it until the captain tells me I can't.
Okay. Go ahead and make it.
Yeah, we outrank a lot of the people around here. So I mean, this
yeah, you're all commanders.
You weren't here. You weren't here. I think the last time we had a situation where we noticed that there were some definite cliques that were forming of people that work together on a regular basis, and so I know I tried to implement a program where people can work in a area that they're not normally assigned to.
Right.
Okay.
Maybe one shift every 10, and so basically giving create an opportunity for people that to hang out together that they normally don't hang out with.
Right.
Makes sense. Yeah. And people
I was worried that if we ended up with some really solid cliques, if there's ever disagreements on the ship, it could get we go into warfare, And
Fair
so
enough.
so like I think I said I was working as a steward, basically working in the cafeteria for a bit there.
Well, I mean, I want to put things on the ship like if you get 2 or 3 write-ups, then that suggests some kind of conflict is going on in your area, and that immediately should trigger a mental health evaluation of all the people involved: supervisor, the worker, the whole thing. They got to come talk. We got to see what's going on. I want to see where their head's at.
We're also getting really close to the point where if any of these people wanted to take off and return, they could. And so it might be a good idea to give everybody like an interview and just make sure that they're really fully committed to the next 18 years, or whether they'd seriously like to just get out now when they have an opportunity.
Yeah, I'll do. Yeah. If they show signs that I need a deeper evaluation of them, I mean, I'm not against reading their minds over, during interviews. Just if it comes down to they set off alarms, I'm going to probe. That's what I do.
So this is going to require 2 roles. Well, actually 3 roles. So Randolph, do you have admin at all?
Okay. 0, and I have a wafer for advocate.
Go ahead and make an admin plus your choice, either intellect or education.
All 0. Let's see.
Perfect. So you have noticed, and now I need to, there they are, right where I wanted them. You have noticed, so both, we're going to come back to these 2, that Shandra Vledin and Mayak Estavi, who have both, Mayak has been working as a technician's assistant. He's technically known as a research assistant, but Sarda implemented the cross training abilities, and so he had shown some desire to work in engineering, and so he has been working closely with Shandra.
He has no interest in engineering whatsoever. He's just interested in Shandra.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, well, oddly, so what Randolph is noticing is that over the course of the past 3 weeks, that Mayak and Chandra's performance has been up and down. So, half the week they'll be great, then the other half of the week not so great, and then they'll go an entire week where they're really good, and then their numbers are in the dumper again.
I wonder if this kind of parallels their relationship.
Sarda, go ahead and make an admin plus intellect or education. I thought you had admin. Am I right?
I got an 8.
Okay, so
I think. Yeah.
So, meanwhile, you are receiving reports that, and this has gone on for like the last 3 weeks, that there's been a number of complaints from other crew members about Shandra and Mike getting into huge fights, Shandra requesting to move into another set of quarters that were further away from where Mike was, then 2.5 weeks later changing back or canceling the request and going back to her original quarters. Their quarters are side by side. So there have been some crew members that have they made some complaints about them being, for the most part, they're okay, but when they're not and they are at each other's throats, it is World War III between them. Now, Bocephus, go ahead and make a science psychology plus education check.
Okay. This will be at +2. Here we go. 8.
Okay. We got 8s all across the board. So the other thing, Sarda, that you have noted, aside from Chandra's requests for changing rooms and then canceling them at the last minute, the other request that's come in from Shandra is for uniforms that are a size larger.
Gee, no.
So, Bocephus, you in your psychology exams, you discuss things with both Shandra and Mike. Shandra, she's a mess. Honestly, she doesn't know what she wants. She is. Right now, she's in love with Mayak, but right. she admits that breakup is followed by reconciliation and an entire reversal, and then everything's great, and then they have another breakup, and they get into fights, and this is causing several of the crewmates to lose patience with her. She's lost a couple of, not necessarily lost a couple of friends, but it is damaging her relationship with people that were considered close friends. When you discuss this with Mayak, he clams up. He really doesn't want to discuss it. But you can tell that something is clearly bothering him.
Well,
uh-oh. We're going to put them on the ship and send them home. Is she pregnant?
Well,
yeah, that would be great. I'm sure Bocephus would be happy to help them with solutions.
Yeah. Well, I mean, first off, I'm gonna, are you at least admitting that, your altercations have kind of disrupted the work and living place?
Are you asking this of Mayak, or are you asking Shandra this?
Well, I'm going to start out with Mike.
Okay.
And ask him, will he at least admit that, this is becoming a problem?
Yeah. No, he is fully willing to admit that. He says
does he love
her? He does. But he fully admits it when she gets angry, man, she is off the rails, mad. Like throwing stuff and
of course. She's gaining weight. Has she been kind of sick in the mornings?
He hasn't paid attention. He's really not that. I mean, he's got an intellect of 6. So,
right.
And a recon of 0. So he may not have noticed.
All right. Well, I mean, can I at least identify any qualities that she might find in this idiot? Is he good looking?
I don't know. I mean, I guess I would say he's not terrible looking.
Okay. Has he got good jokes? I mean, did he spike her drink?
Well, this is Mayak. I mean, he's not bad looking. He
right,
he is he is a little bit roguish.
He's a bad boy.
He's a bit of a bad boy, and what you do drag out of him is that he admits that. So you know, looking at his crew roster, that he was a last-minute replacement for a crew member who dropped out at the very last second, and he was originally hired as a deckhand, and he has presented as a rather creative individual, and so he's good at a number of different things. Well, I wouldn't necessarily say good. I would say that he is capable at a number of different things. And he has shown a lot of incentive, and he's presented, well, for one thing, you know now that he evidently knows how to pilot a small craft. That wasn't on his resume at all, and he was kind of keeping that quiet for one reason or the other. But he admits that he joined mostly to get out of some crippling debts and bad lifestyle choices. They figured, what better way to do that than jump on a mission that's going to be 20 plus years? Are you there?
Yes, yep. I'm sorry.
Nope.
I had the microphone thing up, and I was running my fucking head. But anyway, I think it's time. We're going to ask him, not ask him, just, I think maybe it's time that you just take a different look on things, maybe a fresh perspective. I want you to work with me. You'll go pack your stuff, and you'll move into my assistant's quarters immediately.
Okay. I mean, yeah, he is considered a fairly competent research assistant, so that could work out well for you.
Yeah, and then I want to see if his girlfriend is pregnant or not.
So, are you gonna just come out and ask her if she's pregnant, or?
I think I'm gonna sense life and see if there's something going on in the belly region.
Wow, God, yeah, I guess that would work, wouldn't it? Yeah, go ahead and make a life sense check.
Hell yeah, this is a really easy check too. I believe this is this falls under telepathy, maybe.
It is. I'm looking at it right now. Life detection is telepathy. It's a 4+. It's an easy 4+. So.
Yeah, so I'll get +1 for my psionics because I've kind of been using them just a tad. So I'll not take my full +2, and then telepathy is 1. So this will be a +2 on the roll. Go on and give her a quick little check here. She doesn't. Come on, give me my menu.
Yeah,
there it is.
Life detection is very specific, though. So,
13.
What do you guys do with this? 13. Magic.
Yeah, because I was on the borderline on getting it.
So the part that I'm caught on is it says enables a traveler to sense the presence of other minds. I don't necessarily know that at this stage of the game that the fetus would be able to be considered a mind. I mean, it does say animal, human, and so on, but I mean, you're kind of before that. So, no, you're detecting her.
All right.
You are detecting that there, with your life detection, you are detecting that there is something going on with her body.
Oh, well, that's going to prompt a medical exam. would she be willing to go ahead and take a checkup in these times when boyfriends or girlfriends or spouses often get on arguments? It is really customary that we ensure that there was no form of abuse. So if you don't mind, we'd like to make sure that he didn't attempt to poison you or anything or any of that. So just a little blood work, and we'll come up with anything. Does she have any particular questions? I'll tell her that I've got him under my wing. I'm supervising him because the conflict. Somebody is having an abrasive personality, and I believe it's him. And I'm going to mentor him and make him the man he could be.
Go ahead and make a medical plus education check. It's going to be easy 4+.
Man, I've got more than 4 pluses, but okay.
Okay. So
that's it again, 16.
Yeah, you come back with a pink plus. She is preggers, which means that and she, as soon as the test comes back, she just looks at the floor. She admits that she, knowing that her relationship with Mayak was bad, or was not bad, but definitely toxic. But roller coaster. She thought while they were on break room in Demnan, before the ship went for its shakedown cruise, she thought that if she's now keep in mind that everybody on the ship is mandated to be taking birth control. She thought that if she did a cessation of her birth control, that maybe getting pregnant would somehow make their relationship better.
Well, that just seems really well thought out.
It always is. It always.
Of course it would. That'll solve everything.
That solves everything.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody who's ever watched.
We'll just have another kid.
Everybody who's ever watched, People's Court knows that solves everything.
Yeah, well, I'll assure her that she has privacy in this matter, but we'll have to start taking precautions. Is she wanting to carry the baby? Is that her wish? What does she really want to do now? I mean, how does she see this? Does she want some cybernetic enhancements while the baby is forming?
No. She does want to carry the baby. She says that right now, Mayak has kind of shut down and isn't really talking to her. She told him that she was pregnant, and he hasn't necessarily taken it well. But he didn't get mad. He got a little mad because she, didn't tell him that she stopped taking the birth control, and he knows the regulations as well as she does. But so he was a little pissed off, but obviously not explosive the way that her temper is. But instead, he is kind of withdrawn and just refuses to talk about the situation.
Has she thought about seeing somebody else? Perhaps that guy would like to raise the baby with you. If this Mayak is not to your liking. I mean, if he was just a boy toy and all that, and you made a bad decision, that's fine. But
she hasn't really thought that far ahead. She gives you the impression that she is still under the idea or hope that Mayak will come around.
Okay, well, I'll assure her that I will talk with Mayak, and I will offer couples counseling if that's the route they do want to take. But he's going to be working with me for some time, so I'll get a chance to get to know him inside and out.
She does. And, she does tell you that it's not affecting her. The pregnancy is not affecting her work. Any low performance that she's been doing is simply because of emotional stress. It has nothing to do with the fact that she's pregnant. And I mean, we're literally talking about maybe she's maybe
I think
1 month.
You need to send her back, right? You can't have her raising a kid on the ship. I mean, all the other people are forced to take birth control and are not allowed to have kids. I mean, you're going to really cause some problems if one crew member is all of a sudden allowed an exception, and we've got to raise a kid during this travel.
Well, I mean, I've got ethics to consider too. I mean,
right.
Yeah.
Like, sit them home.
Well, I mean, the DNA potentials alone of a fetus growing is great.
Well, I mean,
That's spoken like Bohesus.
yeah, I mean,
I'm not going to make any decisions on this. I'm gonna report to the proper people. I'm going to gather information, see what she wants, and I'm going to try to, assure her everything's going to be okay.
So she wants to stay on the mission. So does Maya.
Okay.
They both want to stay on the mission, and she, she's almost to the point of panicking because now and she's kind of begging you to not tell command, or the captain or the XO, and she says, doctor-patient privilege, you have to keep this between us, right? I mean, please don't send me home. I can do my job, is what she's insisting.
Well,
and what's your baby going to be doing during that time?
Well, let's perhaps you should take a 3-day and relax, and we'll, if you see any kind of medical changes or something, of course, contact me. But I will perform regular checkups, and we're gonna talk this out and see where your thing is, and then I'm going to prescribe her exercise activities to ensure that the baby's kind of healthy as possible, and tell her that is her new assignment. And then I'm going to report her ass as soon as she's gone. I will assure her I will keep this between her and I, but I'm going to report it as big as Dallas.
Okay.
So I will share it with my compadres as soon as that bitch is gone. I'll be like, oh my God, she's pregnant, dude. You won't believe it.
Everybody's fucking sitting around drinking some of Randolph's brandy, laughing.
Because nobody's gonna figure out that she's got a 6-year-old kid hidden in her room.
Right.
Yeah, no shit.
Right. Yeah. How are you gonna keep that under wraps, right?
Well, I think we ought to at least see what the captain has to say on this. I mean, that's the end result of the chain of command things, right?
Yeah. So the captain, Captain Belmont, and the XO. The XO is fucking pissed, but the XO kind of seems like he's always pissed. Not necessarily always pissed, but generally of the disagreeable type. He falls under the standard executive officer of, if the crew doesn't hate the XO, then he's not doing his job right. So he is irritated beyond all belief. Captain Belmont is more pensive about the entire situation. He brings up, he says, well, obviously there needs to be some punishment, but I mean, they're both, both Mayak and Shandra are, one, they know the ship very well. They know their jobs. And up until recently, they've been doing their jobs very well. So there's that. And he says, so you would have to understand that I am hesitant to just ship them back home, even though this is our last chance.
I mean, I think I could take this Mike kid and you know, I mean, he can fly small craft, and I mean, with that in mind, he can be an emergency pinnacle.
You could freeze the fetus when she's done with the mission. You know, there's a girl that was just born who's technically 1 year younger than her mom.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Well,
that's weird.
So at the talk of that, the XO he looks at Captain Belmont and says, "Sir, you can't seriously be considering this. I mean, obviously, the obvious choice is she goes with she goes back with Task Force Demnan, and she's off the mission. And personally, I think that research assistant Mayak Estavi should go with her, because I can't really see, and he says, I'm sounding like an old conservative here, but I can't really see her wanting to raise the child alone without the father for the next 20 to 28 years.
I haven't heard about this much judgment since I wore a red ball cap to a Planned Parenthood rally. I mean, come on, man. She can handle her job if she's. I mean, if we're gonna lose her, at the very most, we'll lose her as she takes time to raise the child. There's a lot of people on the ship, and a lot of people are fucking. So there's a chance of more babies. We could accommodate this. I mean, we don't have to send it away. The experience that this child might have could be make it a special spacefaring child. I don't see a problem with it. I'm not fucked up about it. If we're gonna lose them, we're losing them. At least if we keep them and let the kid come, we have that's two crew that are valid. I can use this kid to run my ambulance thing for when y'all get fucked up in the field. I can get to you quickly, and we can do medical stuff to keep you alive.
There's a definite morale issue. If you allow them to keep their child, you force everybody else to continue to keep sterile. Others are going to want to have children as well, and it will cause problems. So, I mean, unless you're going to, like I say, remove the fetus and put it on ice, I mean, that seems like it's an option. But I think, raising children on the ship is a bit beyond the scope of things. And it also, given the current, the orders that everybody's under, I mean, it seems very unfair for any women that might also want to have children and are not allowed to based on.
True.
What if we kill the fetus secretly? And there you go.
What if we go full Battlestar Galactica?
I mean, we'll make it look like it was something went wrong, and oh my God. But I can assure you then, that as her personal doctor, I can make sure this baby doesn't come.
Well, Captain Belmont says, he says, the same could be, I mean, the same could be said about the birth control. He's like, he looks at Bocephus, he says, is it true, doctor, that no form of birth control is 100%?
That is true, but if both the male and the female, or both partners, participate in birth control, then, the chances skyrocket. So it's extremely minuscule if you double protection.
It's true. He says, but there is a slight percentage chance that it could fail. And what I'm saying is, he says that maybe if we agree that everybody in this room, that's the story and we're sticking to it, then the rest of the crew doesn't have to know that necessarily that we let this one slide. And I'm not saying that we're going to let it slide. I think that both of them should be demoted.
Well, could we blame it on a side effect of Randall's cud? Is that like?
I don't know how you demote them and hide the fact that she's
Well, we wouldn't hide the fact that she's pregnant. I mean, we're
Well,
obviously not going to make an announcement of it, but when it does...
What grounds would they be demoted for?
Well, their behavior. They've been getting into fights.
Okay.
I mean, usually that would at least be a demerit, but he looks at the XO and he says, but we can allow our first officer here to play the hard ass, and he could just demote them and set a precedent. And then when it comes time where nobody can hide the fact that she's pregnant anymore, then it could fall into that 0.012% chance that the birth control failed. And
I can definitely sell that.
Babies happen.
From the medical. Yeah, I can sell that the medical perspective to the crew, if that's what you want. I have no problem with doing propaganda and other things to help keep the crew. I mean, it's really about the mission.
He also says, and I hate to put it like this, but there is a unique scientific opportunity here for us as well, both from the standpoint of psychological as well as developmental. You know, how there's a unique opportunity for your science division and your medical department to be to be observing this in real time.
So you're saying we should take the baby from them?
No. What I'm saying is that you have a unique opportunity to see what a child born in this kind of environment on this kind of a long-term mission would look like. Not that children being born on spaceships is anything new. I mean, belters and traders do this kind of thing all the time. But those ships have never been on a mission as long as this one. So there is a unique opportunity to observe this.
We can teach it tricks.
You could teach it tricks.
Yeah.
So
I mean, of course.
So the captain wants to know, what are your guys' vote? Those are my opinions. What are your guys' vote? We can get 2 new crew members from.
I would flat out offer them alternatives, and the 2 easiest alternatives are that they return. Another easy alternative is maybe that the embryo is frozen for the duration of the trip. After that, things get weirder and more awkward, and so.
All right, let's just boot
But I
them.
mean, if they jump at one of those 2 options, that solves a lot of problems. It seems to me.
We can boot them. I mean, if it's really that big of a fucking deal. But I think the idea of experimenting on babies sounds great.
I mean, he talked his way onto the ship. I don't know that he really. It was more than he expected. I think that if she was willing to jump, he'd probably be very willing to jump as well.
I can take. Yeah. I mean, either we keep them or we don't. I mean, I'm not going to fucking draw a line in the sand and cry about it. You know, I don't really give a shit. What do you think, Randall?
I think, personally, I think, the 2 options that came up with is I just sent them home, to be honest.
And that's what Sarda
I'd be a
wants.
hard ass and send them home.
Yeah, that's what Sarda wants too.
The XO looks at Randolph and says, "You're goddamn right. Let's get these 2 off the ship."
All right,
if he's already impregnated one of our good technicians, who knows who else he's going to impregnate?
Okay. Well, then
he's not aware. He's not aware he impregnated.
Do with a 20-year-old
Yeah, he is.
in this ship?
He told him.
Yeah, she told him.
Before you confirmed things?
She told him, and his response to it, he was mad, but he didn't start a fight with her over it. He instead has withdrawn and just refuses to talk about it.
Right.
Then, we should just let the XO have them stand at attention, and he give a 2-hour speech about how fucked up it is, and then fire them and send them go. But make them listen to that fucking speech and have them think that they had a chance the whole time.
Okay, so yeah.
That sounds good, Bothesis.
Yeah, if that's what you're.
I think that's pretty fucked up. Personally, I mean, you're basically dishonorably discharging them, which is pretty screwed up. I mean, it's he didn't have any control over the fact that she didn't use birth control, and then that was her choice, and this guy's now going to be kicked off the mission he was on. He's not happy she did it. He's angry that she did it. So now we're punishing him on top of that.
Yeah, that's kind of screwed up, isn't it?
Seems pretty messed up. And then, and if you're totally firing them, that means they're getting what? Dishonorably discharged, so that they are basically screwed when they get back with a child. They're now unemployed and less employable than if they'd had an honorable discharge. I mean, it's just, it's
well, I mean, she acted very dishonorably.
They actually, aren't we
and he's kind of lied too. I mean, Wilson had said, we can give him a go home package,
go home package, or are you going to have a baby?
Why don't we just say this is a breach of contract to the lady?
Yeah.
Yeah, true. I mean, this is technically mostly a corporate mission, so yeah.
It's a breach of contract for a crew member, and she should go home.
Which means your child is now the property of.
And while we're sitting at home, I'll take old guy out on a small craft mission where he'll show me his piloting skills, and then we just kick her off the boat. And then he comes back, and he doesn't even know she's gone for a week or two.
So the captain, he likes the idea of he says rather than have the XO deal with it, and he kind of gives a side eye to his XO. He says because I think that he says
breach of contract.
Well, he says I personally think that my executive officer is going to be too much of a hard ass about. This is a delicate situation. And he says, so I like the idea of giving them options. They're definitely going to get a demotion, but they can either choose to leave or to freeze the embryo. He says, are we in agreement that those are good options?
I think they are.
Sound reasonable to me.
I can make that operation and get that embryo up out of there.
I mean, if you're harvesting extra cells for the frozen embryo, who's to know?
He's got to harvest stem cells. He's got to go for stem cells.
How did one baby turn into 15? I don't understand. And they all look the same.
So,
except this one's left arm is huge, and that one's got huge junk.
I think the thing is that if that becomes common knowledge, it also reinforces the decisions that other crew members are making.
True.
It all of a sudden you're not going to have multiple people all of a sudden forget to take birth control, and now they have it's like, because that's the thing I see is that this is a very long mission. 20 years. That's a long time for someone to all of a sudden rethink having children, and if they're constantly around a toddler or a 7-year-old, I mean, that they all of a sudden can become very jealous, and then all of a sudden they want to have children, and the next thing you know, you've got multiple. So I think if you establish this protocol now, it means 13 years from now you're not having to worry about other people trying to do something similar. So,
right, and so.
Frozen embryos means that you still have a child. You still can raise a child.
How about we tie everybody's nut sacks?
That's certainly an option too.
Yeah.
However, I mean, there's still people are taking ground. People are. You might have to tie everybody up because people are. The women are possibly going to mate with aliens that they meet.
So
make that happen. I mean, would you like an all-around role for?
So Captain Belmont, he takes your advice. He presents the option to them. They both agree to stay on board. They take their demotion, and Shandra agrees to have the embryo frozen. And so
that lets her work on her relationship too. Frankly, it's a good solution.
yeah, that's not bad. Yeah, it's not a bad.
Put everything on pause until we figure some shit out.
Right. Yeah. And so she schedules while you guys are in jump to Protostar Protosystem QQ784. She schedules a procedure with Dr. Bocephus, and she is not happy with Dr. Bocephus because she is not happy because you told the captain and it became a thing, and but she also knows that I mean,
well, see,
there is a military protocol to follow. She understands that.
I'll just tell her, I'll be like, hey, how you thought getting pregnant would be the way to scoop him on up? Well, I thought telling the captain would really fucking get him to like me. He's pretty cute.
And I am a dolphin, so
yeah.
Or dolphin.
And when she looks at me, blatantly, she sits there and looks at me fucked up about it. I'll be like, you get what I'm saying here, right?
She understands. I mean, of course, she's not happy specifically with Dr. Bocephus, but she's more unhappy with the entire situation. But she makes during the procedure, she makes a half joke about how she's going to be like 58 raising an infant when they get back from this mission.
Too bad, so sad, dear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. How does she feel about I mean, if she'd like, I mean, maybe we could work out some sort
Well,
of
maybe not 50. Maybe not 58. She'll be like what, 45 or so, raising an infant.
Well, the other 45-year-olds on the ship won't be raising any children. So, look at your options,
Maybe if we came up with a way for you to hide raising the kid, I could raise the kid in the cloning vat. And you could
That's a weird looking crib.
Yeah, you could take it and raise it, and we can study the process.
It is
you can come stare longingly at the vat.
At like 5 years of age, he'll look like he's 22. He'll have like 3 degrees.
Yeah.
He'll be crush trained. He'll be like one of the Venture brothers.
Right. But I mean, I'm all for having the baby. But right now, I mean, we're about to disembark, and I guess we're stuck with them. Taking the embryo and some of her eggs, and there we go. I'll do that. If you need me to make a medical check.
Yeah, go ahead and make a it'll be an average 8+ medic plus intellect or education. Actually,
right.
Medic plus education.
Do I get anything for being in the med bay?
Yeah, you get a +2.
Oh,
okay.
Well, that's a 12, but I could put another 2 on that, actually. It would have been a 14, but whatever.
Yeah,
cool.
So, yeah, no problem. You are able to extract the embryo and freeze it, and it goes into a drawer in your refrigerator. Mark, don't touch.
Yeah, I'll
next to
I'll
the
mark
yogurt.
that.
Next to the yogurt, yes. This is my lunch.
Well,
Save it for later.
I could, in theory, make it quadruplets at this time if I wanted to. So
really punish them.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, I'll take it and put it up. I'll take a couple of eggs, a good blood sample, and God, man, should I tie her tubes?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, even I mean, the captain is already. This was what was agreed to. She's been demoted. Doing a procedure against her will would be highly unethical. And she.
What about like one of those degradable?
I would say you'd want to ask for permission.
Yeah.
She's supposed to be taking birth control. I mean, that would be included in that.
I mean,
so
what you could do is set a new policy that because there are multiple options for this birth control. There's pills. There are, of course, monthly injections. There is, of course, more permanent, tying the tubes or vasectomy. Those are, of course, all options, and all of those are available to the crew. You could just say no more of that. There's a blanket ruling that if you haven't gone for the more permanent style, then everybody needs to be in the clinics once a month getting a shot.
Yeah, get that shot. Save a lot.
No more pills.
Yeah. Yeah. The only other solution I know is everybody undergoes chemical castration.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Nobody needs that kind of falsetto.
The
ship will break out into song.
Yeah. We would have a problem with morale after that.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of side effects.
Yeah,
unintended.
Yes. Yeah. So,
I will take this kid. I want to train him to be like an ambulance driver for the Pinnacle when we take it out.
Oh, for the Pinnace? Yeah. So, you spend about the next 4 days basically prepping for your jump and saying your goodbyes, and it is a little bit of a melancholy, possibly awkward for some of you. You spent plenty of time doing barbecues and drinking beers down on break room with the crew of the Veracur, and so it's a little bit of a melancholy leave because you realize as the revelation is pulling away, heading towards this big stretch of black, looking behind you, you realize that this is the last time you're going to see, home or anything that's home-like for the next 20 plus years. And so with that, the ship jumps. And of course, you conduct during the jump. You do the procedure, and but you do come out of jump a week later in QQ784, and this is initially what you see.
It's a pulsar?
No, it is a T-Tari, and it is it has, well, now that you're closer, you can get a little bit more information. The sensors operator on the bridge just got an 8. I don't know if you guys want to double check that.
Yeah. Not much better, 9.
Okay. Well, it is a little bit better, but you do confirm that QQ784 has a mass slightly bigger than Sol at 1.3 stellar. I always find it weird, and this is a sidebar. I find it weird because we live on Earth, and they're writing books for Earthlings that we would compare everything to Sol. And the reason why I find that weird is that the Imperium is actually Volani. We kind of kick the shit out of the Soleimani, so we don't really care much about Sol. Wouldn't it be in relation to the Volani star? But anyways. It's about 1.3 stellar masses. It's currently much larger than its mass suggests. Because it is in the process of, it is a coalescing gas cloud, and these chutes that are coming off of it, it is spitting out these gas clouds and dust, and there are all of these little planetesimals chunks that may at one time later actually form into an actual real planet. But of even bigger interest, actually, I'm sorry, this is the T-Tari star. This is the proto-gas giant. And so it is throwing off all of these gas plumes, and there are all of these planetismals that will either form into planets or possibly moons and things of that nature. But this, with Sarda's 9, you get a closer look at the proto-gas giant's composition. So there is, of course, two gas envelopes, but you can actually see, excuse me, through all of this, that there is a metallic rocky core, and there are these ionized gas jets that would be difficult to fly through, but not impossible, and then the planetismals. The science division is super excited about this. And the reason is that this is a once in, and I was going to say once in a lifetime, but it's even more than that. This is a 1 in a trillion chance you could technically land on this gas giant.
All right.
Oh, I want to do that.
No way, Jose.
And so your science division, I mean, on the bridge, your mission console is lighting up with comms coming from the science departments, just super excited about all of the stuff that they could get by looking at the core, or standing on the core of this gas giant. And you've got a number of people that are volunteering to do this.
Yeah, I'm all for it. Let's have all the scientists that write up proposals for what they would want us to do in terms of studies and what equipment would be needed, and figure out who's willing to go. Let's take a look at everything that's being proposed, and so yeah, I'm all for being able to say I stood on a sun or on a gas giant.
Yeah, and so out of the proposals, you do find some that are very viable. Metallurgic sciences, geology sciences. They want to get a good look at what actually makes up a core, because nobody's been able to actually get this close to one. Life sciences wants to go down and see, at this stage of a gas giant's composition, is there any chance that there could be life?
Right.
Are there even the building blocks of life? I mean, you've already seen, they're excited about it because they've already seen spaceborne creatures, the Leviathan, and unfortunately the Leechers. Those are creatures that live in the vacuum of space, so anything's possible now.
Right.
So yeah, you've got 3 scientists that send viable proposals.
Okay.
And it would be entirely up to you guys. Do you want to take the Decinex, or do you want to take something smaller?
From an engineering perspective, what would we need to worry about in terms of keeping the ship safe? Because I mean, I imagine that even though we hypothetically can land on the surface, we still need quite a bit of protection against the forces that are there.
If we take the Decinex, doesn't it have like a little smaller craft that could go in it? I mean, that's double protection. If the Decinex fails, we can jump in the interior craft and take off, and
a ship's boat.
Yeah, or something of the sort. You get me?
I
survive.
Yeah, no, it doesn't have a secondary ship. I mean, it's only a 200-ton craft.
All right.
Yeah. So I'm more concerned about what types of defenses and shields and armor would be necessary to basically make the landing and safely enter and exit the
toughest part about it is going to be flying. You're gonna need a decent pilot to get through those ionized gas jets and through the envelope. But Beyond that, I mean, that's not impossible.
But I mean, if we get hit by that stuff, it's hull damage, right? So
it says,
I would imagine, or radiation possibly.
Well, the bigger the ship, the more damage it can take.
So yeah, if you actually fly into a gas plume, you're looking at 2d times 50 damage to the hull. But there's no reason to fly into a gas plume.
Yeah, I mean, we wouldn't be trying to.
Right.
But
I mean, shit happens, right?
I'd feel more comfortable in the Destinex dealing with that than I would in a smaller ship, is all I'm saying.
I agree, too.
Okay. All right, so we will pick up next week with you guys planning or taking off in the Destinex to...
And hopefully we'll have our pilot.
Yeah, that would be great. If not, I've got some standard stats for him. So, So yeah, Jack will be piloting, and he's only got like what, a +4 to his piloting. So yeah. So yeah, we will pick this up next week at 7:00 with you guys attempting to land and be the first humans and dolphin to walk on the core of a gas giant.
Yeah, that's epic.
All right, I will see you guys next week at 7:00 on Friday night.
All right, thanks.
Have a good night.
Have a good night, guys.
Have a good weekend.
Bye.
You too.